That's better.
You're listening to another Woodshop podcast, the okayest podcast of its type. Your hosts are Daniel Dunlap of Daniel Dunlap Woodworks and Peter Kapar of P-Trees Workshop. You can find them as well as the podcast on your favorite social media platforms.
Welcome to episode 179 of another Woodshop podcast, where this week we're joined by an artist that's ahead of his time, but with the eye on the past. He brings vintage flair to anything he touches, whether it's a sign, furniture, or your business. It's sure to catch the eye with bright colors and unique designs. And he's the reason I still look for wooden tapes on the beach. You might know him as Richard Television, but his friends get to call him Ricky.TeeVee. What's going on, Ricky?
What's going on, man?
Hey, man, what's going on?
Glad to be here, fellas.
Glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. And,
I'm shocked that you wanted to be on here even after my awkward event of asking you to be here at Maker Camp when I was plastered.
by the way, that's
Wasn't
how we
that
get most of our
awkward.
guests. We lock down most of our
I just
guests.
like ran up to him and like hung on his shoulder. Hey, you want to be on my podcast?
You're like, come meet my host. Come meet my host. And you like, drag me over to the fire.
By the way, I also want to just, before we get into patrons, I do want to throw out this little warning. Parental discretion advised. We're going to get a little sailory here.
Yeah, we're not going to put a cap on Ricky.
Speaking
Did I
of
curse
cursing,
already? I probably cursed, didn't I? Did I?
No, not yet. No, I just wanted to, in case.
I don't
'cause
even
people
know
are
what I
like,
do.
oh, I always listen when I drop off my kids at school. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll have to be sure to put a parental advisory on this one.
Yeah, whatever it
Oof.
is.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Put a nice little NT-17 rating on it or whatever.
Yeah.
Dan, speaking of cursing.
Speaking of cursing,
worst
you want to know why
transition.
I'm currently cursing? We don't have any new patrons this week. Zero new patrons.
What the French toast?
Yeah, that's cursing. That's cursing in Polish. But as always, I want to give a big shout out to all of our VIP patrons, and that is Jesse McIntyre, Gillette Woodworks, Victor Aragama, Matthew Hoff of Matthews Woodworking, Nick Brim of Nick Brim Woodworking, Matt Maynard of Patriotic Pine, Steve Iodrola, Bill Burkle, WTB Woodworking, Malcolm over at Bossanova Woodworks, Justin at Calvary Customs, Patrick Ginsel, Michael Flickinger, Max and Mindy Coons at Stubby K Studio, and the Jacob Miller at A Sweet Shop. Thanks to each and every one of you. Thanks to all our patrons. You keep the lights on over here. And
Quite
if
literally.
you want to join the Meh Army, as we lovingly call you guys, you can go over to patreon.com/anotherwoodshop podcast and join up over there. We got some special stuff for you guys, and occasionally we send it out.
Yeah, and if you want to join, this is a perfect time because at the end of November, we're probably going to be doing our Patreon only call. And you
yeah.
can join us and just hop on a Zoom with us and BS for
The big Zoom hangout.
an hour, but that hour is usually about 2 hours plus.
Yeah,
It's
the
out of
last
control.
time we marketed it as an hour, and we were there for like 3, I think.
Yeah, we had to like, be like, all right,
Been a
guys,
little
everybody, go
long.
see your families. You don't need to hang out with us. But speaking of not hanging out with their family and hanging out with us, Ricky's here today. And Ricky, we're both really big fans of your work.
Huge.
Your stuff is amazing. Huge, humongous. And
Huge.
for those of our listeners that don't know who you are and who are crazy enough to not know who you are, can you give us the elevator pitch? Who the hell do you think you are?
Who the hell do I think I am? A fraud.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, he's
I
good.
don't know. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I guess I'm a designer now. I started off as a carpenter, as a finished carpenter for about 20 years. And then I started doing signs, which I still kind of do a little bit, but now I'm almost like an interior designer of some sort, creating kind of immersive experiences. And I don't know how I'm getting away with it.
I often feel that. How the hell am I getting away with this?
Yeah,
I
it's
kind of
just-
understand.
It's unreal. It's not
Yeah.
fair.
So for those that don't know, Ricky specializes in what I can only describe as vintage flair. So Ricky, how did you get started with like approaching all your work from like the vintage angle or the vintage vibe? How did you get into that?
I've always been attracted to the nostalgia of my childhood, you know, especially early childhood, like late 70s, early 80s. There's just like an emotional attachment to that. So when I started doing sign work and stuff, I'm just attracted to that style. It's kind of like my aesthetic. So I started to incorporate a lot of that into it. And then of course that led me to do jobs that are more vintage because of the style, you know.
And is that something you're finding like a lot of success in now? Like you seem pretty busy with everything you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, well, working with my ex-girlfriend in the vintage shop, that was me like doing a lot more 70s work. And then because I did that for 3 years, I got a lot of vintage followers. So it's not just, at first it was a lot of woodworking scroll saw followers, and then as I did the vintage, my vintage following started getting bigger. So yeah, like I'm kind of there's not many people who do what I do in vintage stores, you know what I mean?
No, there's not.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, you're
Yeah.
definitely like specialty work.
That leads me to my question. Do you find people or potential customers or clients reaching out and wanting you to come like across the country and do what you're doing?
Yeah,
I would
so
imagine
actually,
that's
that's
a
what
pretty niche market. So
yeah, so how long you guys been following me for?
2-3 years, maybe.
Yeah, about 2 years.
Okay.
I mean, I was
I did
following
it-
you
little
when
more.
your account name was established 1981.
Oh, so that's a long time.
I remember
then,
the
yeah.
tape series, so that was a while back. That was 2019?
2020. Yeah, I mean, I started tapes a long time ago, but they keep coming back and up back and forth. But I did I designed this. So this was like a step up for me. At one point in my girl's shop, I designed like a space age 60s vanity display. That's the one with the big mirror and it has jewelry display. And another clothing designer in LA, she really liked that piece and she was opening her storefront. So she wanted me to create something similar to that. So I built a similar piece and here in New York and drove it across the country and out to LA.
Whoa.
Yeah.
A bit of a hike.
It was fun. It was cool.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
Now, or like,
Yeah, we made like a road trip out of it. You know, me and my girl, we just both drove across the country in a U-Haul and just made a thing out of it.
and so in your work, you're not just applying a vintage style, you're actually sourcing a lot of vintage material as well, stuff that's not made. So I'm just going to ask what all of our listeners are going to be wondering, like, where are you getting bulk asbestos these days?
So hard
But
to
in a
get,
serious
definitely,
note,
yeah.
where are you get like where are you sourcing this like like when I keep thinking back to when you did the kitchen room, like there was a lot of vintage work there, or pieces. Like, was it from an old home or was it still new?
No, I mean, it's impossible to find that stuff really. Like I said, my ex she worked as a vintage, so sometimes we'll come across wallpaper or something, but really you just don't. Sometimes you come across the tile, but you don't really want to use the old asbestos tile either. You kind of have to find modern versions of that stuff that look authentic, which is pretty impossible. You know, it really is. So you got to find wallpapers that may look like that, or a lot of the VCT tile kind of just is classic. It just looks old. So a lot of it's kind of faking it. I'm dying to find a shag carpet dealer. It is.
There's got to be somebody.
There's got to be a guy somewhere.
Find it. They do sell modern shag, but it's all in the modern colors. You know, the colors don't look like the old avocado and orange and
Avocado. That's such a good color name for it. I know
so
exactly the
gorgeous.
color you mean. You just said it, and I'm like, yes, that color.
I always referred to it as pea green.
Pea
like
green.
the vegetable, not the urine.
No,
yes,
totally.
yes. Oh man, that's cool. Now,
but I do a lot of upcycling. So upcycling is usually the dumps, or again, when I was dating Lizzie, she would have access to like old televisions and stereos and thrift stores, and I'm very interested in old electronics to kind of use in my work as well.
Right, and you see a lot of that in your posts. Yeah, I was just scrolling through and I saw an old TV that you use in some of your content that looked really cool. I think it was an old pink TV, maybe, or is that something you made?
Pink TV, you said?
Well, it might have been purple. My memory's bad. I don't know if you know this.
Green. I've gotten a green TV before, which was gorgeous, and I actually I found that one on the dumps.
It's gray. I was way off.
There's pink around it.
Yeah, there's pink stars and stuff on it.
Yeah.
It's like a little TV. It looks like a little magnet or something. Okay, never mind.
Talking about. But I use a lot of TVs. Like it's kind of like it's a trademark now too. At this point, now that my name is TV, that I kind of moved over to TV.
That makes sense. I never put that together.
Wow. Yeah.
My goodness.
with an extra 4 E's in there though.
Yeah. So the E's are. So I used to be established in 1981, and that's my birth year. I thought it was a cool name. But jokingly, on stories, sometimes I would call myself Ricky.TeeVee because I just thought it sounds like very Japanese. It sounds like very cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, oh, Ricky.TeeVee. And sometimes I would spell it weird, just like Pee-wee, because Pee-wee is like a huge idol of mine.
Okay.
Or was. So I would spell it like that because I thought it was just a fun way, novelty way to spell
Paul
it.
Rubens.
Yeah. And then at some point I realized it's just a way better handle, you know? It's just, it's a way better name. It's more memorable. People will know my actual name. People will remember my handle because nobody remembers 1981, you know? So I switched it over, which I was kind of scared to see what that was going to do. You know, I didn't know if that was like, would fuck up your exposure or something, but I did it anyway. And it just made more sense, you know?
It seems like it's working out pretty well.
I love it. I'm really happy I did it.
And we talked about this in a pre-show where, like, you know, you were, once again, ahead of your time because you changed your handle to be your name, where now with the whole check mark and everything, everyone's changing their photos to be them and their names are more active on social media. It's not just like Petry's Workshop or, well, Daniel Dunlap, obviously we know who that is, but you know, some people haven't like their handle. I'm not very creative with my
name, so
like you said, there's plenty of accounts out there that don't even have their name in the description. Whether they're trying to keep their last name out of it or just their name completely out of it. It does actually make it kind of hard to like reach out. Sometimes if somebody like compliments me on something, I want to reply back with the most powerful word that a person can hear, which is their name. I'll be like, oh, let me see what their name is. So I can be like, thanks, Bobby, or whatever. Can't see their names. Like, thanks. It just feels so ingenuine.
Thanks, guy.
Thanks, guy. And then she's like, I'm a girl. Oh, God.
Or even like on a podcast, you want to be like, oh, you know that guy who does this thing, and then you got to say his name, and his name is like Flawless Design or something. It's like you don't know the guy's actual name. You can't. So find
Mr. Flawless. and Ricky's last name is Saetta.
Nice, you did it.
Oh, I did it. Yes, there we go. I'm practicing in front of a mirror. Yeah, so and see, yeah, you keep your name in your content, so it's easy to find. That's a great, if we're, you know, our listeners are always looking for like, what should I do with my content with my business? Like, put your name somewhere. Make yourself easy to find.
Absolutely, put your name so people know your name. You know, you don't have to put it in your. Obviously, if you have a clever name for a handle, it's better. But having your name prominent somewhere on your page that you can find is necessary.
SEO, baby.
And one of the biggest things that one of the big pet peeves I used to have as a photographer, and we would get like in these groups, these photography groups that I was in, that we'd always get like, how do I get out there more? Like on your website or on your social media handles, say where you're from.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Location is helpful.
Oh yeah. Big time.
My goodness. I can't believe how many people don't do that. I mean, just a general area. You don't have to give your exact address. Just, you know.
I'm gonna shut this door. Hold on, it's cold.
Yeah. So if you guys are looking to work with Ricky, he is in the Long Island.
Long Island, baby.
Long Island,
another Long Islander. I'm getting overtaken over here.
We've had Sam, we've had Dave, we got Ricky. We just got to make our way through the whole island. Get
all of them, dude. Go
all. Well, it's a Long Island, so it's going to be a while.
It's a Long Island. It's going to take which I nice. Believe, if I'm correct, Long Island is, and Brooklyn and Queens are all one thing, all Long Island, and I hear that that's what people love to hear.
Yeah, you went over this in Dave's podcast, right?
Yeah. Just start fires. People still message me about it. Like, no, they're not. Like, all right, calm down.
from like all the way on the end of the island, though.
Oh, you are. You're.
Yeah, I'm at the point. I'm at one of the points.
Isn't there like a fancy part of the island that's towards the end?
So yeah, the island is like ends like this. Like Dave was saying, it looks like a fish, where the face of the fish is Brooklyn, Queens. Then it ends on two forks. The southern fork has the ocean on it. That's the Hamptons.
Ah, that's right.
I'm on the North Fork at the end of this, so it's very similar, but doesn't have the fancy name and is a little less expensive.
But you're close enough to the nice area where you can get some good clientele.
Yeah, which is kind of like cheating because this is a small town, so I grew up here, and I have a lot of connections. So to get jobs, to like I do a lot of build outs in stores, so my name out here is big. Like people go to me to. Obviously, I'm the only one doing that out here in the small town. So, but this is a vacation spot for people from the city,
right?
So I'm almost like city adjacent in a way. So a lot of people who might have big jobs in the city come out here, and I have a big name out here. And then now I'm suddenly some established artist. Where it really just a small town.
That's pretty cool.
That's not a terrible thing to be.
Oh, it's great. And then at some point, I'm going to work in the Hamptons just because it's so fucking close,
Yeah.
Right. That's nice.
And like relatively speaking, you're close to New York City, but it's still like what, an hour and a half drive?
It's like 2 hours to 3, could be 3 hours in traffic. Yeah.
And people from outside the area really don't understand like how close everything is, but how long it takes to get places, to get through Manhattan. Like Dan, for Maker Camp, he flew into LaGuardia. I live almost by Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So it was like an hour and a half plus with 2 tolls and a bunch of traffic. I think Braden at some point goes, I was in more traffic on that one ride than I've ever been in Omaha.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Well, you're on an island. You're on a small island with bridges and tunnels. It's like,
and it's all cramped together.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys don't go insane, to be honest.
Well, we have walk-ups.
Well, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I'm out in the woods,
Is there actually like kind of woodsy area by you?
Dude,
see, I'm just imagining
all woods.
Like anytime I go to Long Island, I go to like neighborhoods. So there's like
little shitty suburban neighborhoods. I'm where it's actually nice. Yeah, not where Dave lives.
Okay, dang. All right. Not where Dave lives. Oh, what a dig.
Stick it in and twist it. I like it.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say I want to go back a little bit. Pete touched on the tapes thing, and I've really been intrigued by the cassette tape project you've been doing for the last couple of years. That you say it keeps coming up every now and then. Where did that come from, and can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so that's like way back. That's like 2017 maybe, where I was still working as a carpenter with finished carpenter with most of my time, and then I would just mess around with stuff in the shop on the weekends. And I got this idea where I wanted to make a wooden cassette. So I made a bunch of wooden cassettes for I used to do like name signs for kids, but they weren't like the traditional corny kind of like name signs for kids. I tried to make them something that like when the kid was a teenager, they could still think it's cool. It was like very super artistic. Like this was a long time ago. So I did one with all these walnut cassette tapes where I actually made like 50 walnut cassette tapes and even used cassette spools inside of them.
Oh, wow.
And made this whole like name sign, all mahogany and walnut. So then I had a bunch of tapes left over that because sometimes they crack, sometimes they mess around. And I had the idea, like, what if I just like left this at the beach and it got all aged and stuff? And then from there, I was like, what if I just pull driftwood off the beach and make a bunch of tapes? I think that'll be cool. Like instead of trying to age them, So
it's so funny what you have one of your videos is pinned for the tapes, and you're like kind of monologuing over
it's
you
the
making
first
them.
one.
And I watched it yesterday, and I was like watching you first. You're pulling out all the metal pieces from the wood, whatever. But like every 30 seconds, there was a shot of you cutting it and sparks just shooting out of the wood because you would find some extra nail or something.
Oh, there's so many nails. Yeah, destroying table saw blades. But that's kind of my thing. I'm such a savage. Like I don't respect any of my tools. So at that point, at one point I was doing that thing where you're like, oh, I'll make a bunch of things to sell and people are going to buy them, so I was doing that game, and I made fucking 200, 400 of these tapes, like a lot of them, driftwood, because we're like touristy, driftwoody New England beach port town out here. So I was like, oh,
Right.
I could sell them at the stores. So I made Christmas ornaments and magnets and whatnot. And I just quickly realized that I just don't have the business mindset. I just don't care. Like I'm more of like the artist where I just want to create stuff. And then after that, I don't give a shit, you know? So I was trying to sell them and I had to, you know, get my sales tax thing, and I was selling some online and I was selling them at a store. And it's just like, I hate this, like packaging each tape and mailing it out. I was like, I fucking hate this. Like, so I just wasn't really doing it. Like I could have sold them, but I just wasn't doing it well.
It drains all the creativity out of it. It can be soul
it becomes
crushing.
a job.
Yeah.
It becomes a job.
Yeah.
So then I just had all these tapes left over because I got lazy with selling them, and I had a store downtown that would sell them, and that was nice, but that got like annoying too. So then I thought it would just be funny, like what if I just like threw these back on the beach? And I was doing that for a long time, just taking the tapes occasionally and throwing them back on the beach for people to find. And locally, it was a thing. People would find them. A lot of people knew that I did them. So they would tell other people who were like, oh my God, I found this tape. Like, where did it come from? Like,
found a tape, make a wish.
Yeah. So then last year at this time, I had a lull in work and I ran out of tape. So I was like, oh, I'll make a bunch more. Cause I really liked doing that. Like it was like a message in a bottle kind of, where you just throw the tapes out there and people find them. It's fun. And you try to throw them in the water to hope they go far. But anyway, I had this idea, like what happens if because it also feels cool when you know somebody finds them and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And they find you and stuff. It's cool. So I was like, I wonder if I could share that experience with everybody else. Like maybe I ship these tapes out to people in other places. And so this whole thing like spreads like worldwide, you know, or countrywide or something. So I threw that out last year, this time in October, and the reception was insane, you know, like all my maker friends, all these people, everybody was sharing it. It was doing really well. And I actually made like a ton of money off of it too, which was like funny to finally come around on that too. Wow. You know? Yeah, I made good money for that time, that short period of time, but it was awesome. The tapes went as far as China, you know?
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fine, because usually they go the other way.
I probably made 600 of them at that point, you know? So there's like 600 of them out there. And it was two. I would do 2 for 1 deal. Like you get to keep one, and then the other one you put in a body of water, or you hide it somewhere in the woods or something for somebody to find.
That's awesome. That's such a cool creative project.
Oh, it was so fun. It is like magical. You know?
I would be sitting there wondering like how many people actually found them and like didn't know how to reach out. I wonder how many people, and I would always wonder like, what was their reaction? I'd die to know that. That just seems so cool.
But it's cool not to know, because my idea at one point was like, oh, I'll put my Instagram tag on it, so then I'll get followers, right? Which is a fun idea, but it's better if somebody has no clue, because it's more magical for them to find this thing, and really they have to make up their own story, you know?
Right.
Yeah, where it's like if it has my Instagram, then they just find me and they're like, oh, here's this jerk off, you know? Like,
oh God, so cool. I wish I would have known.
Well, last question I kind of have is I guess the full name would be Dakota Gold.TeeVee. your daughter, so you feature your kid in your content quite a bit, and we talked about kids at this year's Maker Camp. It was very much like a family event. The kids were very well received. They were active in all the different activities. I mean, I was saying earlier that when we ran into at the event, your daughter was on a scroll cell with Lizzie. So like, you know, what have you ever like thought, oh, I want to keep my kid out of the concert or whatever, or is she actively like very excited about it, or you're just trying to get her involved in it? Because I think it's really cool when families or members of the family get involved with all of our businesses.
Was the question, do I want to keep her out of the content?
Well, no, like, so yeah, how do you feel about, like, are you doing that on purpose? Are you putting her in?
She's prominent. Yeah, she's very prominent in the I kind of like, I've always, even before being like involved in the maker community, like on Instagram and everything, like on my own personal account, I've edited video forever, you know? It's always just like something I've always done. So I guess, I don't know, I've always featured her in it. And especially at one point I noticed back on my personal account, once she was born and everything, like she was like a major boost. Like so many women want to like see your daughter and what she's doing, and my mom moved away, so it became this thing where it's like I'm gonna include her so everybody can see her, and it just kept going, and she's produces a lot of good content too,
Yeah. Plus, a lot of the content you did, it was around her. You did her. I guess I think you did the nursery. You did some signs.
I mean, I basically started this whole thing like when she was born. I started doing more stuff in the garage. I made her name sign. I made her a crib, and then eventually I made her a bed. That's in the house, and I made her actually a couple different name signs. So yeah, she was like a very important step to all this too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna be like she's in a
She's
great community. Yeah, like this community, like I love seeing you at this most recent event because like you got to be involved more of these little events that happen, especially up here on the East Coast where we have all the fun ones. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah.
Because the community is just
ones.
awesome, and they welcome the families, and it's one of the reasons why I keep doing this. It's everyone is so welcoming and warm and motivating, and if you want to try to give up, they're not going to let you. Everyone's very, very supportive of each other.
It was so warm when I brought her there too. I mean, it was like I'm going there as a single dad, which is fine because I do it all the time. But I mean, the moms there just quickly. I mean, they know Coda as well as they know me because she's so featured prominently in my stuff. I mean, she just she gravitated to them, and she had like 3 or 4 moms when we were there. It was perfect.
That's awesome. Yeah, everyone's so nice. Are you thinking about going to Workbench Con?
Oh yeah, I bought tickets and everything.
You did?
Hey-o.
Oh, dude, awesome. Oh, that's gonna be so much fun.
She's not coming though. I'm going solo for this one.
That's probably better.
Yeah, I don't think Workbench Con is a family event as much as Maker Camp is.
Like you can totally bring kids there, but like a lot of the action happens like after hours and running around and hanging out at the bar or the lobby or whatever. So, but either way, man, it's gonna be awesome to see you there.
Yeah, I'm excited. Dude. Very excited.
Right on.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's different, but it's fun. It's fun. Yeah,
the connections you make at Workbench Con are great because that's a lot more like conversations. It's less activities. You do obviously have the classes and everything, but it's just really nice to talk to people and like get in their brains and get their perspectives on things. So it's gonna be a good time, man. We're all gonna have a good time.
And after meeting everyone at Maker Camp, it's like I'm excited. There's so many more people that I still haven't met yet that are going to be at Workbench, which is great.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't do both. So yeah, you'll get a whole different experience.
And it's a different region of the country too. I'm sure it brings other people in because this one was very New York centric. There was definitely people from other places, but
yes, I feel like more people travel to Workbench Con than they do Maker Camp. That could be inaccurate.
Well, it could also be the lodging. It's just easier with.
True.
It's easier to coordinate everything in Atlanta than it is to coordinate everything in East Durham.
Are you saying East Durham isn't a hub of activity?
It is a. It's not. I can't sugarcoat it. It's listen. It's great. It's lovely. It's got a nice campground, but like it really is in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, it was cool as hell though.
It's so great. We love
just
it.
The campsite alone was so kitschy and so cool. It was like right in my alley. I thought it was so fucking cool. Yeah.
Did you guys camp in a tent or in a camper, or what'd you guys do?
So we went there bringing a tent thing, and I figured I didn't even know if we were going to stay because I didn't know if it was a kid friendly thing. I thought maybe I'd be driving home at night, So we went there and it was pouring rain, and it was freezing cold, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm not staying in this tent." And do you guys know what the fuck is this account name? I don't know, Chris Zeppeli or some shit. I don't remember.
Yeah,
Chris
Zeppeli.
Like
make everything
stuff or whatever the fuck. Yeah. He had a property up there, and he said, you can camp out on my property. So I was like, oh, cool. At least I can do that. But then we ran into Wood Maven when we were there.
Oh yeah.
She was staying in a trailer, and she was like, "You guys can sleep in my trailer. We have an extra bed." So that's where we stayed. It was amazing.
Oh, that's
very
so
nice.
And she was another one of Coda's moms. Like Coda just gravitated to her immediately.
I can see that. And Char is awesome. We love her.
So awesome. Great. So warm. So warm.
She's amazing. Yeah, man, that's just you're stuck now. You're stuck in a community, whether you like it or not.
I love it.
It's like you get adopted when you go to these events.
Yeah, and it's like you've been a part of the community for fucking years, dude. Like these people feel like real friends, but I never met any of them. You know?
Yeah, everybody just seems to know
my
each other.
Yeah, like Dan and I didn't know each other before the like recording 0 or episode 0 as we call it, which was just us hopping on a call to figure out if we like each other. Dan and I, we were following each other, but we didn't never have talked or anything.
Yeah.
Mike brought me on, and then Mike and Dan were friends, and like now like he's my best friend, and he lives across the country. I literally didn't know the guy. I've never met him for like 8 months of our like life together.
Yeah, we didn't meet in person until like episode 40.
It was Maker Camp, I think.
Was it Maker Camp?
I think you may have flown out for Maker Camp.
No, didn't we go to Mike's or something?
Oh, it was Mike's first. That's right, because it was like heart of COVID. No, nothing was happening still. Yeah. So yeah, we met in California, and it was love at first sight.
Mm-hmm. So this community is awesome, dude. It's so cool. Yeah. It's so cool to have this. You know.
Exactly.
Speaking of the community,
do
we have? Are we going to go into questions? What are we going to do here?
You want to jump in a quick little maker news or this week?
I don't have any maker news to talk about.
Let's just do some questions, though.
Well, only thing I want to shout out is Justin from Call Me Maybe just dropped a new video, I think, on the Pineys.
Very cool.
Or at least he was doing some clips on there, so check that out. That's the thing, we haven't shouted him on. We haven't had him on. We might want to have him on too. He's been doing a whole series of like essentially just a series on the maker community and these artists and woodworkers and epoxy artists and everyone, all these makers. So definitely check out his channel, check out his Instagram. He's one of my faves. He's so quirky and crazy and out there. And he makes really, really, really beautiful documentaries showcasing these guys. And he's also on the Ricky.TeeVee app. Like you can actually watch him on Ricky.TeeVee.
That's what I was going to talk about. You just reminded me. I found the maker channel on my Samsung TV. I don't have a Roku, but apparently, there's a maker channel on my Samsung because it's.
See if I can get it on the Apple TV. I would love to.
I've been watching the crap out of that, and I see Justin Maibe come up. I see Jimmy. I see Christina from Get Hands Dirty. There's been a ton of people on there. Bob Claggett, Brad, what's his face from Fix This Slab That.
Fix Built This That.
No, it's a really great channel. I'm so glad I found it. I was just messing around the other day. I had no idea that I had all these channels, and then I was going through it, and I was like, "Oh crap, a maker channel! What's this?" And
what's funny is that
it's This Old House channel. They put it on, apparently.
It's awesome. I mean, that's what like Char was on the This Old House.
Yes,
right. Was This Old? Yeah, she's worked with them before. It was pretty cool, man. It's so awesome.
Yeah,
I love seeing.
You know what's funny is my daughter found Making Fun. I didn't put her on to that show.
Really?
Yeah, dude, she found it on her own. I came out of the shower one day, and I knew of the show and of the guys, but the truth is, I didn't follow Jimmy before that. Like I wasn't paying much attention, and I came into the room one day after taking a shower, and she's watching the show, and I'm like, I fucking know these guys, I'm like, I was like, I think some of these guys follow me, and like I knew of the show, but I never watched it or never paid attention to any of it. And she was fucking gut laughing at Pat, like
one of my faves.
And I'm starting to watch a show with her, and I'm like, this show is really good. I'm like,
it's really good,
talented. Yeah, it was. I was like, so going to Maker Camp, she was actually the biggest reason why I brought her was she was like wanted to meet Pat so bad.
Oh, that's so great.
Did she get to meet Pat? He's so great.
Yeah, she got to like use the lathe with him and everything. He was so accommodating. It was great.
He's just a great human being.
Honestly, I just want to watch a sitcom of Pat and Jackman, like Pat and Paul together, just like they live in a house and they're like two broke girls, but it's them. That's so great. They're a solid crew. We actually had them all on a podcast, and then Jimmy Surprise as the producer came on, and we had
oh wow,
oh yeah, we had him on for the pre-show. That was a
riot.
That was something. There was like 8 people on. It was crazy.
It worked out though. It was good. Everyone was accommodating. Now this last one it's not really maker news. I have 2 little things. First of all, Christmas is 6 weeks away. Just throwing that out there. I'm just doing my countdown every week. 6.5 weeks away. So
Who
get on
cares?
that stuff, guys. Thanksgiving's in 2 weeks. Don't panic. But speaking of Thanksgiving, Black Friday's coming up, and I just want to remind everyone, like, if you're looking for some tools, or if you're in a line of tools already, you need to get some new batteries or whatever. Like everyone, I just picked up the like actual paper thing from Home Depot, the orange store, and it was like, buy this, get like
The
12
paper thing. What
batteries.
are you
Yeah,
talking
it's
about?
like the little flyer that has all the
oh,
promotions for Black
that's a thing
Friday.
they still print out? Have they heard of the
Yeah,
internet?
I was walking in, I'm like, what's this thing? Whoa, paper. So definitely, if you're looking to grow your stock of stuff, or maybe you're low on some
Tape
batteries or
measures.
whatever,
Yeah.
this is the time of the year to
Heck
plan
yeah.
for that. And if you're trying to, we always talk about like having your business pay for your tools so that your wife doesn't get mad or husband doesn't get mad or whatever. It's like, start stocking up whatever you're selling, set some money aside, and you can get some really good deals coming up. I mean, if that right now everyone's doing this whole like Black Friday month, just so stupid. Just call it November sale event or something. But like, you can get some really good stuff. So save your pennies and get yourself something nice this year for Christmas early. It's my only little shout out there.
Very good.
Yeah,
good.
we still don't have a jingle for
Well
that,
done.
Dan. We got to work on that.
No, we don't. We need to work on that.
All right. Well, should we jump into questions then?
Yeah, please.
Jump
Let's
in.
do that.
I
Oh, yeah,
don't have
play
the
the thing.
jingle.
Oh.
Oh, Black Betty, rambling. Dan, just put it in. I don't have it queued up. I'm sorry. That's our jingle of Dan singing that, Black Betty. You want to start with the written in, or you want me to play one of the audio
Yeah,
ones?
let me pull those up real quick, and I'm not stalling at all.
He's not.
We got 2 written in questions. One of them is from IG. We got a question from IG. Where did that go?
It's
oh my God.
right there, Dan. It's very
It's
easy.
right. I just had it. Here it is. Okay, here we go.
Jimmy. Oh, yeah, got it.
This is from Jimmy Alford over at Trash Panda Wood. Longtime listener, first
Great
time
name.
writing in. I lean into the nerd niche hard and kind of personify ADHD woodworking. It's really difficult for me to make one product repeatedly. Not skill-wise, just mentally. I struggle with motivation for this. Even if it sells well, do you all have any tips for this? Maybe something systematic. Pete, do you have any advice on this?
Dude,
I feel like we could all like give a little bit of answers.
Yeah.
I do a little ADHD woodworking here and there.
Well, Rick, you kind of talked about this. Like you just
I'm
get
terrible.
burned out.
I'm gonna give no advice aside from don't do it. Just
But you
keep
don't
doing new things.
you don't hate doing a batch of something, right? But then you just need to do something else after that.
I don't mind doing a huge batch. I kind of like that. But once I do something, I'm over it. And I want to do something
You don't like
new.
to do it over and over and over.
Yeah, and I'm
like
not the
Pete and I
I'm
do,
not
basically.
motivated. I'm just not motivated by money. Really not. So I find it hard to like chase that. So even if I know it's going to be smart to make more, like I kind of don't care. So
Right.
And I stubbornly don't, and I'm getting away with it, which is nice. But I don't think it's possible for everyone to get away. It's definitely not smart business. I'm not good at that.
I'm not gonna lie, I dream of doing that, but I also need the money to keep a roof over my head. So I kind of lean into what I do which is an Etsy work, and that's it's basically the same stuff over and over every day. I mean,
but sometimes that can be a handcuff, no?
Oh, it's definitely a handcuff. It's I dream of just doing creative stuff all day long every day and doing whatever I want, and that's it's not possible sometimes.
You almost gotta like
it's tough.
Carve time out for that. You almost gotta like within your hours per week, like schedule you time. You know what I mean? Where you get to do something that has nothing to do with
it's like
business.
a hobby within a hobby. I mean, this kind of starts out as a hobby for people, and then you start making money at it, and then it just feels like a job, and it feels humdrum, and it feels terrible. And you have to, like Ricky just said, you gotta carve out some you time in there. You have to, otherwise you'll just go crazy, I feel like.
I've managed to avoid it, and I don't know if it's just fucking sheer luck or if it's an actual, technique. But
it
would
could
recommend trying.
It could be hard,
somehow.
man, because like you said, it could be a cuff or a clutch or a crutch or whatever. Like it could be like something that ties you down. And the thing with Etsy too is, if you're selling on Etsy, you shut down your store, you're gonna have a hard time restarting that.
Oh
yeah, it's Yeah, it's hard. So, well, the way I deal with it is I aim to make every step of the process as easy and as quick to do as possible. Meaning I don't actually offer any personalization on almost anything except for special occasions or one-off cutting boards or whatever. Because like anytime you personalize something, you're disrupting a system. If you have a system to get something like knocked out, like listen, I do CNC laser and 3D printing work. I throw a material, I press play, and I watch and make sure it's good. I clean it up, I pack it up. It's pretty hands off. When a machine's running for a lot of these, I'm doing other stuff. For stuff that I have to actually hand make, like I would never offer a cutting board of a certain type that I have to make special that same cutting board each time. I can absolutely do that, but to me that would be like overthinking it, add a lot of stress to it. I'm gonna get in my own way. Anything I can fabricate ahead of time. I don't like to keep a lot of inventory on hand, but anything I can keep a little inventory of. So if I'm gonna make one and it sells regularly, I'm gonna make three. The other thing I do is I go into batch production of a certain thing, like Ricky does. I have cutting board seasons. Actually, was going to be on my bench today. It's the beginning of cutting board season for me. I make cutting boards twice a year, where I take all of my scraps and maybe a board or two, raw board of whatever material for extra wood, and I just glue it all up into whatever sizes the offcuts tell me to be. Like whatever the wood tell me what size it's going to be that size. Plane it, clean it up, laser my logo on it. That's my cutting board. And I have that stock and it sits in 2 totes, like black and yellow totes from Home Depot. And I bring them to shows. And then if somebody's like, hey, can you make me a cutting board? Like, I can't, but I have these made. And then they usually go, oh, like, I like that one or whatever. Can you personalize it? So one way to try to like control your ADHD and like not get stuck in repetitive stuff is like make a small batch, but don't go crazy making so much inventory. You're a store and you're sitting on that inventory for forever and then you're giving it away in a year, because that's not something you want to do unless you want to throw it in the ocean. That works.
There you go.
Can you imagine throwing cutting boards in the ocean?
Yeah,
that's a great question. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Our second write-in is from Adrienne from Hickory Homestead Creations. I love this question. If you could be any WWF wrestler from back in the day, who would it be, and who would be your tag team partner? Now, in the pre-show, Ricky, like he said, he had a good one, so I'm interested to hear his answer.
Okay, so we're going WWF, okay? Because when I was into wrestling, it was definitely.
Did I say WWE again?
No, I'm saying like this is the time period I'm going is early 90s. So I have my favorite wrestler is Macho Man, so he's going to be my tag team partner.
Okay.
He's like his interviews are the best. But if I had to be one personally, I kind of love playing the heel, and I kind of like using my sexuality too. And the name, I got to be Ravishing Rick Rude,
That's great.
Do you guys remember him or no?
Yes.
So he used to put his opponent's face on his crotch of his pants. And he would do that like, move. And he would do that like, he'd go like this with like Ultimate Warrior's face on his crotch. So fucking good. And he'd come out in a robe with a mustache, like absolutely Ravishing Rick Rude. Yeah.
Oh, that's freaking perfect. I love it. Pete, were you ever into wrestling? Do you have a good answer for this?
I came to this wonderful country of ours in 2000. So I missed the 90s scene, but I got to experience a lot of it because a lot of my friends growing up in the US were into wrestling. So I got involved in it too. And Ricky stole my answer. Macho Man Randy Savage. Because also one of the reasons I was going to say is
everybody loves Macho Man.
He's got some of the most. He was like this crazy, always sweating, always out of breath. There's like clips of him just going, like taking breaths because he would take these deep breaths between speaking any sentence. But everything that came out of that man's mouth was like laced with positivity and energy. And like he would like, he's like, oh, you Macho Man Randy Savage cries. Like, he was like this macho man, but like he was trying to make it okay for everyone to be okay with themselves. And he was really, there was like a positive message behind it. I always enjoy that. As far as a tag team partner, I'm gonna go with The Rock, just because I think he's one of the most hilarious wrestlers turned actor now out there. And watching him with what's his face that he's always Kevin Hart, like they're back and forth, their quips constantly and the facial expressions and everything. I could laugh at those two all day. So that would be my tag team partner because I think we'd have a good time.
Are you talking The Rock from the early 2000s or The Rock now?
You know what? It's the same guy. He's just he's a little more
He's a little bulkier
showy
now.
now. But the thing is, I mean, it's in wrestling, you're showy too. He's always had the eyebrow.
He was
and
funnier.
like,
He was definitely used to be funnier.
yeah,
he was
so,
way
so
funnier back in
I'd
the
say
day.
the early 2000s because that's when I got
Especially
exposed
when
to
he
him.
first turned bad. Like, remember he was like a good guy, and then
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
he
those
turned
are
into
our,
a
like,
bad guy, and that's
villains
when he
back
got like
then.
famous.
Yeah, like also like there was certain wrestlers that then like they actually turned bad. They were like the bad guys. They'd get booed instead of everyone cheering for them. It's so crazy. There was such a showmanship to it. It's an art form.
I
Dan?
would want to be a Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh,
I loved that guy. He had such aerobatics in the ring. I always wish I could do like the stuff that he could do. I really like that guy, and that I'm just showing my age really now. My tag team partner, I would want Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was crazy. I love that guy. Or the Junkyard Dog.
Oh yeah.
I enjoy both those. I just
Definitely
like the
Hacksaw.
characters. Yeah, I like Hacksaw because 2x4s, woodworking. That's how I incorporate that.
I like the heels. I like the heels of wrestling. Like I like that drama's fun. And sometimes I feel like I try to play a little bit into that on Instagram too. Like I just like that like fake drama. It's fucking hysterical.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I wish actual athletes did that more often,
Well, yeah, when they try to do it, they get penalized.
Yeah, well,
Bastards.
you have like boxers do it, like
Right.
fighters do it really well. But like you need more football players that do it, You need more
I
like
agree.
Richard Shermans that just talk shit. It's good.
Yes.
It's so fun. Yeah.
Yes. Richard Sherman.
This is just making me think of like there's a South Park episode. I just looked it up. It's called the WTF. There was a wrestling league where they all join wrestling, but they start making it like every battle or fight it turns into like a Macbeth play where they're acting it out and there's dialogue and all this stuff. If wrestling is fake, explain this. All right, are we going into audio questions now?
Yeah, we're gonna have to because
My
I don't
favorite.
have any more to read.
Yeah, all right. Let's next question's from Jesse.
Hey guys, Jesse from Sage Hill Woodcraft here. So I'm curious of how you balance doing commissions versus just batching a bunch of products and listing them. Anyway, I love you guys. Y'all crack me up. Thanks for the input. See you later.
Not well, Jesse. Not well at all. I mean, that's why very poorly. That's why it takes me months and months and months to finish a product or a project that probably should have took a couple of weeks, if not a week. I mean, case in point, the walnut table that I delivered a while back. I mean, that took me 6 months. That shouldn't have took me 6 months, but it took me 6 months. I let it sit on the beach and I age it and I throw it in the ocean. Hopefully,
you gotta let it dry. Yeah, if you melt it.
But it took me that long for a couple of reasons, and one of them being, Etsy takes up so much of my time. There's no schedule on an open commission. I mean, there could be, but it's real loosey goosey, right? But with Etsy, they're like, you have to get this shipped out by this date, or you're getting penalized. So, I put way more effort into batching out stuff than I do client work. Unfortunately, it's tough. What about you, Ricky? Do you find yourself in that situation?
I'm in a unique space again. I don't do, if I do a commission, like a sign or something, which it's been a minute. It's all commissions. I don't do any batch work anymore. Like if I'm doing the cassette tape thing, that's just like a fun hobby project to me. All my all my projects are really commissions or big client jobs, and I do one at a time. I don't even communicate with any possible clients in between. I just kind of focus on one at a time. So I'm in just a unique space. I don't do that anymore. I used to do that.
Very envious of you, sir.
It's nice, dude. Get rid of Etsy. Just do it.
I wish.
Do it.
Pete?
So my answer is poorly, and I managed it poorly, and that's why I'm in a situation I am in now. So when I started all this, it was all commission work, and somebody being like, "Hey, can you build me a table? I have $100." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." You know, and like that's how I got started with all this back in like 2016, 17, whatever it was, and it quickly became overwhelming because like I was working full time, or I was in college at the time when I started, and it was hard. It was really, really hard, and it would stress me out. And I realized working with clients directly, especially when it was clients that were really close to you, and their expectations were high, and your expectations for yourself were even higher, it would stress me out immensely. It would make the act of woodworking, which was my stress reliever and my thing that I love to do and tinker, it made it not fun. And it really peaked. I would go through these stages where I would like do it, and I burned out. I like left Instagram, didn't do any woodworking for like 6 months at one point in like 2019 or something. I was just like done with it because it was a lot. It was like too much work, and I'm working crazy hours at work, and I was working retail, so the hours were insane as it was. And slowly with 3D printing and fabrication, and having now 12 robotic employees that work for me when I tell them to work, and I can record the podcast while stuff is printing downstairs. It is.
Do they complain ever?
What's up?
Do they complain ever?
Some of them do by breaking down, and then I have to fix them. There's 2 right now that are down, so they're on.
Wait until they unionize.
They're on leave.
Wait till they take over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Rick, you would hate my house. It's all robots.
I saw it, dude. Yeah.
But like, you know, what's great is I got really mad at the whole situation a while back, and because I was managing it poorly, and I am so effing tired of being tired and angry and stressed about this thing that I had that was a stress reliever for me. So 3D printing, when that took off and my Etsy shop took off, and you know, I got a better job, so I was making more decent money that was actually paying the bills. I was like, oh, I can reclaim woodworking as a passion project. Like making in the shop became more of like, I only take on commissions. Like if people hit me up, they're like, "Hey, can you make me a table, whatever?" No, I can't. Oh, like, oh, you like, when are you going to be free? Like, just, I'm not looking to do that right now. And now I just use the excuse, like, I'm sorry, I'm working like sponsored posts and content, whatever. I just don't have time to do whatever. I have time to take on commissions. I don't want to, because woodworking and the maker space that I have in my house was for me, not to be a business. And I somehow accidentally and very luckily fell into a space where I can actually build a business around it, but where that's not the main thing. So what I would say is don't compromise your values and what you're happy with. Like if you want to, I was Jesse, right? Jesse asked a question. Yeah, Jesse.
Yes.
So like if you want to keep doing this, but you don't want to burn out and like get tired of it, like find parts of it that you like. And we talked in an earlier question, we answered part of this in the previous question as well about just like batch work and whatnot. Find the parts you enjoy and stick to it. And then say no to the parts you don't want to do.
Totally.
And then only take on commissions if they really excite you. Like I'll only take on a project now. Like I'm working on my buddy's van conversion for basically no money, because like I think it's super cool, and he's gonna like camp out of that thing, and it's, you know, we just installed a heater in it this week, so he's literally gonna be toasting in the winter while he's traveling, working remotely while he's in there. Like that's a fun project to me, and that's what I want to do. I want to have it be fun. So my answer is try to make it fun. Sorry, just a long way to get to that point, but make it fun, and make sure this never turns into like a grueling job for you that you're not going to enjoy. Like Ricky said.
Yeah. Say no. Say no.
Say no.
Yeah. And it's funny because you actually just explained kind of what I'm doing. Like, I mean, I'm doing all commissions kind of, but again, I'm only doing one at a time. The ones I want to do, the ones, you know what I mean? Which is the same thing. I mean, you're doing batch work, you know, in the background, but it's very similar. It's a very similar technique. It's kind of like just do one and kind of like do what you want to do too, you know?
And I'm going to call out somebody. Scotty Holland, hope you don't mind. I'm going to use you as an example. I was texting with him today, and he's really stressed out about his business, and he's trying to wrap up the year and everything. And he was telling me, like, I lost 60K of potential work, or I lost 60K of work this week because people can't wait for the work to be completed. And I said, no. You didn't lose that work. That those people walked away because they couldn't work on your schedule. They couldn't work within your means. They're wasting your time by even getting this far in a process when they couldn't have waited for this work anyways. Like, you work at the speed of you. Don't ever let the customer or the client dictate how overworked you are. If they can't work around your schedule, they need to walk away, or you need to just have them walk away. And it's not on you. It's never on you. This is your life. This is your business. Don't stress yourself out over it. You're supposed to be enjoying yourself. And as a business owner, like, you know, doing all this stuff ourselves, like we all get stressed out, right? But we love this shit so much, right? Like, we love doing this. We're never gonna. It's a different kind of stress. So the customer doesn't need to add the stress to it.
Do what makes you happy.
Yeah. Love you, Scotty. All right. Next question is from Malcolm, the voice of AWP.
Hey guys, it's Malcolm from Bossanova Woodworks, and I just want to say hello to Ricky.TeeVee. Ricky, it's my loss that I wasn't following you before this week because I've been binging your content, and my God, you are talented. And guys, really great job on landing another killer guest. Ricky, I have questions about the pink furry fabric wall that you put up in the donut shop. That thing looks awesome. Were the owners concerned at all with having to replace it from time to time if it got dirty? Because I'm sure everyone wants to touch it. Hell, I want to touch it. I might make a special trip to touch it. And I realize this got a little awkward just now, so sorry about that. But please let me know what your thoughts were. Okay, bye.
I can't wait to hear about this.
Yeah, so absolutely. When I designed it, that's the first question. It's like, well, is it going to get dirty? And it's pink too. It's like a light pink, so it's not, you know. And really my response was, it's gonna look awesome. You know, it's gonna look awesome, and you might have to replace it. But wouldn't you rather have like that full experience than like, let's say, paint that wall pink and then you have just a flat shitty wall? Like, this fur is actually the tactileness of it. The kids are going to be playing with it. It's going to draw people. It's going to make that whole hallway and the heart mirrors look like just better, like more experiential. So, right. And then the other benefit too was we were looking at wallpaper, because it's a husband and wife. So the wife obviously wants to do all the cool stuff that I want to do, and the husband wants to save money, right? Even though he's cool, but obviously he's a business guy. So he's like, oh, I don't know. So he was concerned about it, and he was kind of pushing for wallpaper at some point back there, which I didn't love. But it turned out the fur was actually cheaper than the wallpaper. So hey, by half. So I was like, let's just, it's going to be better. Let's just do it and see what happens, really. I mean, if we got to replace it, we got to replace it,
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. I mean, why not? Take a chance.
It went up really easy. Aside from Sam had to spend an entire day cutting the edge, because it comes like almost burned or something. It's like melted at the edge. So Sam came from DIY Hunters, came to help because she lives close. And that was like where we first met. And I had her cutting the whole length of every
oh no,
it's fucking 11-foot ceiling. She got the whole length, but she was
you had short Sam doing that.
She actually cut it all. I didn't cut a single piece of it, so it was great. But it went up really fast. You just throw it up and staple it up. So replacing it should be pretty easy too. So
in the pre-show you mentioned something about the fire marshal not liking it either.
So that was the scary part, is we finished the whole project, and the fire marshal, them, they're just self-important, trying to, make a living.
Marshal.
So he was like, oh, this place is great. But the one concern I have is, like, if somebody lights it, some kids come in here and they light a match, that whole wall's going to go up. And then, he said to the owner, like, he was going to have us pull it down, but the owner was like, oh, I'll look into some fire retardant and stuff, and kind of like brushed him off. And we're hoping that it just stays that way,
Oh, God, what a buzzkill.
See,
there's so much buzzkill.
That's the thing, though. We have makers on here all the time, and I don't always categorize them as artists. We're all makers, we're all artists in our own way, but like I definitely, when I look at your stuff, I'm like, he's an artist. He's thinking differently than most people. He's not thinking in right angles and basic things. He's thinking of textures, feels, looks. And when you're looking at stuff as art, I feel like you don't look at it as function anymore. Not necessarily, it could be function too, but you definitely look at it as more eye pleasing, conversation
Mhm.
starting, uh, a piece, not necessarily a wall. Like it's a statement piece. So there's something to be said about that. Like, yeah, it might be cheaper this way, or it might be safer this way, but like,
Or easier. Everyone's like,
or
it's easier to do
easier.
this, easier to do that. Like, I don't care about
Yeah,
easier. Yeah.
it's art. It's not
Yeah.
supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be fun and different and expressive.
I
So
like the way you said you created an experience and it draws people in.
yeah.
And I think that's probably what happened with that place.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah,
if
and I'm
anyone
always budding.
listening, all I was gonna say is if anyone listening knows a good shag carpet supplier that has unique colors, Ricky is looking
All
for
colors.
someone. So please, or all
Impossible.
colors. So Ricky is looking for some suppliers. This is an actual
But
request.
But I'm always running into that problem with clients, obviously, too, and just my design in general. Like, I want it to be like crazy, but sometimes it has to be more functional and or more like durable because it's going to be retail spaces, so it's got to be durable. Or I'm always running into that problem for sure. And because I prefer aesthetic over any of those things, and cost or time. Sometimes I'll design something that I know is going to take me way too long, and I just won't charge the client a lot for that. I'll be like, I'll charge you $10 an hour for that piece because I feel like doing it.
Fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want it to be complex.
Yeah, and it's another one of those things where like you're doing what makes you happy, so you don't get bored with it, right?
Yeah. But then I get all the the guys who business guys who care about the bottom line and time, and their advice is always like, you could have done this faster by doing this or by doing that, or like it would have been easier to use this material or something. It's kind of like, I don't give a shit about that, dude. It doesn't get me going.
Yeah.
I mean, we all get that. I mean, you're going to get that on the internet. I feel like that's the way the internet goes. I mean, bunch of know-it-alls.
Everyone's got an opinion.
And it's usually wrong. Anyway.
All right, next question is from Lars.
Hey guys, it's Lars. Just calling in and wondering if any of you have ever broken a brass threaded insert in ash or some hardwood like that before. And if so, how the hell did you get it out? Currently struggling on trying to repair my couch that came from Raymore and Flanagan that looks like it was built out of the same pallet wood I used to see at AutoZone that air filters and stuff would come in on. Some drunk cockeyed sailor took a stapler and just missed every fucking staple. Every staple that he possibly could on this thing. So trying to repair it, trying to get some new inserts in for the feet, and I broke the first one. Thanks.
I've never had that experience, but my first thought was, it sounds like the thread itself broke and not the threads in the insert or outside of the insert. So like he didn't strip it out in any way, right? It's just broke.
I think let's just assume that it's stuck in there.
Okay.
You can't remove it with the wrench. Maybe it's stripped, maybe they're cheap, maybe it's whatever. And the thread is shot or it's not all the way in, it's stuck. Whatever the scenario is, it's worst case
The first
scenario.
thing that came to mind was put a bolt in there and star bond it or CA glue it and put some activator in it and try to take it out that way. Try to unscrew it. Otherwise, I have nothing. I've never had that happen.
I got
Fingers
you,
crossed.
I have dealt with something similar. So there's two solutions that I've used in the past for something like this.
Fire.
Or burn it down. Just burn the whole thing. Start from scratch. You
Gotta
can do a better
cheap
stapling
as
job.
hell.
Yeah. First one is they actually make screw removal tools. Just literally search screw removal tool. It's a reverse thread on it, so you can pop it into, like, if you have a bolt or a nut or something where you got to remove it. They're really designed for like the tops of screws where you kind of like drill it out and then you screw into the top of the screw wherever you drilled it out and remove it. But they make big enough ones that you could fit into the threaded insert. That's option one. The other option, which is what I used, literally the exact same thing happened to me. I stripped a a very cheap Amazon brass head, and then I ended up throwing out all of them because they were so cheap. I ended up getting my smallest core hole saw, like the saws that are, it has a drill bit in the center, and then it has a circular drill bit around it. And it's usually for cutting, like if you got to cut a 3-inch hole in a wall or something, you got the center pilot bit, and then you got the big hole saw around it. You can get a fairly small one and use the center of that. Usually it's hollow through, so you can drill it out. You might have to tap it first with a metal drill, and then drill it out, and you'll literally remove the material all the way around it, and then you put a plug in.
Oh.
And then
well, there you go.
retap it again. So that's the more laborious way of doing it. But you're essentially removing that whole thing. You're you're drilling through the center, and the whole saw is making a circle around it. And you break that thing out of there, and just fill it in again.
That's probably the best way.
That'll
right
give you
there.
like the cleanest, but again, this is for feet. Like I'm assuming you're leveling feet and stuff. You might be able to get away with the reverse thread screw head removal tool, or just bolt removal
Well,
tool.
if it's for feet, you're probably going to want to not destroy the wood that the thread
Yeah.
is in. So, like, I feel like you could destroy the threads themselves, and then if you put another insert in there, it's not going to be any good. So I like that option.
I think either way you
Putting the
want
plug
to do
in.
a plug, Dan. I think
Yeah,
you're
for sure.
right. Yeah, you want to do a plug in that spot, meaning literally glue it in and then retap that hole again as if it's just a flat piece
Retap
of
it,
wood.
baby. You know what I'm saying?
Retap that hole. Okay, next question.
You have no. Hold on. Does Ricky have
Oh yeah,
a solution?
No, No.
Okay, there you go.
no solution.
All right,
It's
last
unfixable.
question
Sorry, Lars.
is from France, and it's from Thomas.
Hey guys, so for tonight, how about a woodworking question? I bet it's a nice change from Etsy or content questions. But first, Pete, I've been looking everywhere, but I can't find it. Where is your new video?
God damn.
It never gets old. Is it what you call throwing under a bus? Alright, my question is the following. So I'm working with a candle maker, and I turn from
Candle maker.
him a bunch of small wooden balls to make candles inside. And to be sure that it doesn't leak, I want to use a film-like finish inside, and it has to be heat resistant up to 60 Celsius degrees, which is like candle hot Fahrenheit for the colony. I was thinking varnish or even epoxy, but it has to be vegan or at least as natural as possible.
Vegan.
And I'm currently using shellac, but it takes a lot of layers to be effective. Do you have any suggestions? Alright, bye. Have a good podcast.
Oh,
First things
so,
first, we need a translation.
So he's working with a candle maker, not a condom maker.
Yeah, I don't use condoms.
I make my
Dan's
own.
got kids, and yeah, he doesn't either. Anyways, he's working with a candle maker, and he's making these wooden bowls, and he needs to finish them with apparently a vegan finish of some kind, something that's food
Nice.
safe. I'm assuming is what he means. So he would usually do some kind of varnish or epoxy, which I was going to recommend, like do some kind of like varnish, like a halcyon or something. But he wants a food safe version. And like really a hard wax oil, when it cures properly, which I think in most oils it's about 3 weeks to fully cure. Right, Dan?
It really depends on the product.
Yeah, it depends on a product, and you probably want to do a couple of layers. He's using shellac right now, which kind of is a great option as well, but same thing, you got to do a couple layers, got to let
It's
it
got to be
cure.
heat resistant too, right? Is that what he said?
Yeah, which this is going back to the whole Mark Spagnolo, like any finish is safe on a cutting board thing. Like any finish is going to be fairly heat resistant once the
Right.
whatever solvent flashes off, whether it's water, alcohol, oil, and
Yeah, after anything cures, it's food safe.
food safe, and it's
As long as you're not cutting on it.
Thing is, none of these finishes are going to be 100% heat resistant for something like that. But it's a candle, so like you're not really going to have. I don't think you have to worry about it too much. Maybe think about the design so that it's a little wider in some case, so like the wick doesn't come as close to the piece. I don't know. This is why I don't laser engrave like lanterns, because I don't want people putting candles inside them and catching fire. But Dan, any suggestion?
I was going to suggest pure tung oil. I mean, that's a nice natural option. When it cures, it does take a bit to cure. I think it's like over a week. But it creates a nice varnish like finish, and I think it's got all the qualities you're looking for.
I was thinking water or alcohol based, so when it flashes off, there's not really anything left except the finish itself. Think tung oil, or you said tung oil, right?
Pure tung oil.
Oh,
Pure
Ricky,
tung oil.
Any thoughts on finishes?
I don't like finishes.
Wallpaper.
Carpet.
just
Shag carpet.
CDs.
just line
CDs.
the bowl with shag carpet. That's great.
Actually, if you want to reflect the heat, you want to turn that thing into a disco ball.
Yeah, use disco glass, maybe a bunch of small pieces that you had to order from China, especially because you can't find them anywhere.
Oh, really?
I like that.
Yeah, 1/2-inch size, maybe.
You know what's funny? I have a brand new sealed thing of like 100 CDs in a pack that I've been saving for like a project. Something.
Do it.
Yeah, and
I'm just
like,
gonna crush them and start.
not even
gluing
crush
them
them, just like have them. Like when I was younger, because all those AOL. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. Those AOL start discs, like get the first 27 hours or whatever. Any store we went to, I grabbed the whole stack, and I collected them, and then I ran an LED light through it, and I had this like 6-foot tall CD tower that I would just like glue the center thing together. It had LEDs through it. It was not as amazing as I thought it was going to be, but still had like 400 CDs at my house.
I like
stacked.
it. Did you see? You saw the CD. You saw the CD countertops I did, right, at the
Yes.
donut shop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I should do. Just like a CD top, and then like
You just lay down.
top.
You lay
I
down
say-
like mirror. You lay down a mirror first
Ooh,
to fill in the gaps, and then you lay the CDs down mirror side up. And then what I did is, because I was nervous about pouring epoxy at that distance, especially in a store, I just put tempered glass over that. It's easier. Just got the tempered glass cut and dropped it in.
I say put those CDs on the ceiling in your bedroom. You're welcome.
Yeah.
That's what we used to do. It's like, bring a girl over, you got some CDs stuck to the ceiling, maybe some lights reflect to it. That's how you get them.
Party.
Yeah.
Got them.
CDs are crazy. CDs nuts, right? Am I right?
Okay.
Crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. I think with that's all of our questions, right?
No más questions. Good.
No más questions. This is Ricky, thanks for hanging in there, man. This is a long one.
That was a tough one.
I know. Yeah. But, dude, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome. I love what you do. Dan's
Wait, we're not done, are we?
Too. No, we can kind
Let's
of
keep going, bro. Let's go all night.
Oh
God, I was afraid you're gonna fall asleep. But dude,
I gotta go to bed.
This is great. This is
Danny
boy.
I don't know if you know this about me. I like sleeping.
Dan takes done naps. Oh, Dan, I did take that done nap, and then I did have coffee afterwards.
Oh, good for you. Good.
Dan takes day naps in the middle of the day.
Damn right.
Do you guys want to see my track saw real quick? It's sitting right here next to me. Did you guys see that?
You see mine?
Why do you guys have track saws right next to you?
Why is your track saw not next to you? What? Oh, that's awesome.
That is dope.
What? That's crazy.
I don't think I've ever seen that in a video. Is that new?
I just designed a little.
The
plate
thing is,
for
because
mine.
nobody gets to see my videos, so that's probably why you didn't see it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
it's so funny that we both had track saws within our arms length.
Yeah, I didn't get the memo. What the hell?
Yeah, dude, he fucked up.
Get on that next time. Just a random tool, like we should have a new segment, show and tell.
Show and tell.
We're just like, this is a square. It's not actually a square. It's the shape of an L.
Oh,
I get to show off all my TeeVee red tools.
Yes. All the knockoff. Ricky, have you bought anything from Temu yet?
No.
Yeah.
Don't.
I'm weary.
I fell down that rabbit hole a couple weeks ago. Bought a bunch of stuff.
They're decent tools.
What is
right?
it? Is it kind of like Harbor Freight? Like that kind of
No,
thing?
it's like
even worse.
It's like Wish.com
meets AliExpress.
Yeah, it's super Chinese knockoff stuff. It's terrible.
Sketchy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like the tool quality is decent for what you're.
I bought some
knockoffs
woodpecker knockoffs, and I feel bad about it because Woodpecker is a very like American made company,
Yeah.
But curiosity gets the better of you, and when you see the price tag versus the price tag on the originals, it's like, oh, I gotta give it a shot.
$50 for like 10 rulers that you got, or
Right?
whatever.
What's the worst that could? I mean, they're not terrible. They're not terrible. They work.
I mean, dude, there's so many tools that I have in my shop that are just like hand-me-downs or old rulers or squares or whatever. Like, I don't even know what brand they are. I just use them.
Right.
You know?
Some of those are the best ones.
Yeah.
Built different.
Yeah, I'm not like a tool purist because I don't treat anything with respect. So like I'd rather have the cheaper blades and stuff.
I've seen your table saw top. That's the only part that makes me cringe.
What's wrong with this table saw top? What am I missing?
It's full of spray paint and rust and fucking epoxy, and it's just a workbench. It's a workbench,
you know the sparks in the video? That was just him trying to run wood through the cast iron. It's
I've used a track saw on top of it too, plenty of times.
Just cut into the metal.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I'm actually like, I remember seeing your shop for the first time and be like, oh, I was kind of expecting like very old vintage tools, like everything was like plugged in with a sketchy cord or something. I'm like, no, the guy's just like he just uses good tools.
The savage though. Total savage. I've run a boombox through that thing too.
Oh my god. Like through the table saw?
Straight through, yeah, so I can cut it off. I always run TVs through it too to get the face off.
Well, but
so you're telling me you don't have a saw stop?
Nope.
You gotta disable that saw stop.
All right.
All right. Well, again, Ricky, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome.
It was fun, man.
This is good.
Yeah, it was a great time. I'm glad you accepted my drunken invite.
And where can people find you? What's your main area for dropping all the content and the knowledge?
What was that?
Where can people find you?
Ricky.TeeVee on Instagram and TikTok, where I'm actually respected on TikTok. Where
really?
People actually, well, I'm respected on Instagram community, but nobody sees my shit on Instagram. Like it took me, I just had my first viral video on Instagram after how many fucking years? 6 years or something? I've been stuck at 10K for 2-3 years.
No way, really?
Wow. Yeah, dude.
That is a travesty.
Every video before that has only hit like maybe 20-30K views until this one that just hit, you know.
Good lord.
Nice. Well, at least it's popping off now. What are you at on TikTok?
It's nice to finally feel that. TikTok, I'm at like 87K. And I started that too late. I started that in like 2022.
Dude, I started mine like a year and a half ago.
TikTok is a whole different thing. It's crazy.
Yeah. But Instagram has always cock-blocked me. Always. Forever.
Really? That's crazy.
Forever.
I do not understand that whatsoever. I don't understand why they don't push like good creators. I mean, all your stuff is original.
I've been so bitter about it for so long.
Oh, I don't blame you one bit. I'm bitter for you.
I get really shitty about it. Yeah.
Well, Ricky he wasn't involved in any like oil scandal or anything. So there's that whole thing.
Yeah, you just got to piss off an oil brand. There you go.
Yeah. Exxon. F you guys.
All right. Hey, once again, I want to give a shout out to all of our patrons. You guys help us keep the lights on as always. And again, if you want to join the Met Army, go over to patreon.com/anotherwoodshop podcast. Get signed up over there. Ricky, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, fellas. You are one hell of a talent, and I feel honored that you were here.
Thank you.
Ditto.
All right. And with that, bye-bye. Love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
See you, bye.